Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Electric Callboy Tekkno, out September 16th on Century Media Records. The album has 10 tracks, 31 minutes in length, and this is the band's 6th full-length studio album. They are a German electronic core band. Now, as far as the design is concerned, I see positives, I see negatives. Perhaps the only negatives that I see in this album are in the overall structure, in the overall design. The first thing that you're going to notice when you press play is that this record has the right opening song, Pump It, and the right closing song, Neon. These two tracks have similarities in them, specifically the way Neon closes and the way Pump It starts. Those two songs almost merge into each other. This allows the record to not really have a sense of ending. It goes full circle, so if you're listening to the album from start to finish and on loop, the album never really ends. It just restarts. This is amazing. It really adds quality to the overall experience. And for a record that's only 31 minutes in length, you almost need that in order to make the record feel slightly bigger. Positive impact just by having these two songs with similar characteristics at the beginning and at the end. After that is where I see the problem, specifically for me, because I'm listening to the record from start to finish. If you're coming at this album from a different angle, if you're just listening to the singles, if you're just listening to individual songs, if you're creating playlists, then it's a different story. But if you're coming at this album from a start to finish point of view, having 4 of the 5 singles right at the start is maybe not the best approach. I wanted those songs to be a little bit better mixed in with the new material. So I'm listening to a song that I'm familiar with, and then they hit me with a song that I've never heard before. Then maybe listen to 2 songs that I'm familiar with, and then 2 songs that I never heard before. This creates its own ebbs and flows. Now you're not looking just at the ebbs and flows from a soundscape point of view or even a vocal point of view, but you're looking at a different dynamic that knowing songs versus not knowing songs creates for the listener. When you pack in the front end of the record with 4 out of the 5 singles, you're almost giving the listener a sense of repetition because we've heard these songs already. It takes us a long time to get into the meat and potatoes of the album, the songs that we haven't heard, the songs that we're here to discover. And I think that's perhaps a little bit too much to ask of the listener. You could mix in these songs, create more dynamic, create more flow, make the album more engaging all around, and then obviously having Pump It and Neon where they are allows the album to be absolutely perfect from a design point of view. Now, one thing I'll say about this record, it doesn't feel like a compilation. I came in expecting that because 5 out of 10 songs are singles, so I thought this album was going to be a little bit broken. But no, the album has a sense of continuity. There is a sense of commonality across all of these tracks, and it really feels like an album that has beginning, middle, and end. The middle could have been better defined, but the beginning and end is absolutely perfect, as I mentioned already. Now, as far as the sound is concerned, this is Electric Callboy. You're not going to get anything that you didn't get from the singles. The singles really paint a vivid picture of what this album sound-wise is going to be all about. Having said that, the album doesn't just lean in onto the electronic side of the band and use it and abuse it, song in and song out. There's going to be songs on this record that have more of a guitar drive, that have more of a guitar push with guitar heaviness, with a little bit of a different momentum, and therefore creating a slightly different atmosphere. There are also some songs that have more of a pop approach like Neon that changes the dynamic of the tracks, that has slightly different elements from the rest of the album. So there's going to be ripples within this record. The singles don't paint the full picture, but they paint 80% of what the picture is all about. The sound quality is phenomenal. It's a very clear album, easy to understand, easy to digest. You can see some of the patterns emerging, creating sometimes verses that are a little bit more melodic, bringing the heaviness into the chorus, changing it around but keeping everything else the same. There are patterns throughout this album that, because of the quality of the sound, really emerge and become clear, but you're able to pass beyond them because the sound has great movement, it has great energy, is a fun record to listen to, is an album that you don't have to really pay too much attention, try to peel the layers, try to discover what's under the surface. Everything is right in front of you. They're not hiding anything at all. And having 5 singles out of 10 songs really makes for an experience that you're already connected with even before it starts. Now, as far as the guitars all around, they're not the main driver of this record, but I don't think you can have Electric Callboy, and I don't think you can have an album like this without bringing some heaviness on the guitar side. But they're not just there for heaviness, they're also there for melody. I actually enjoy the guitar sound on this album, even though the electronic side of the band really takes over throughout this entire record and is the main driving force. But that takes nothing away from the guitar playing, that takes nothing away from what the guitars are doing, because they still have an important role to play in order to create this yin and yang that is Electric Callboy. The more electronic side, the more metalcore side, and then the more popish side. There's three sides to this coin instead of just two, but they're always able to find equal pieces of them to bring it all together into the fold. Now, vocally, the album is as dynamic as the sound is as chaotic as the sound is, but everything that happens with Electric Callboy, while might seem chaotic at the time, there's always a little bit of control into that chaos, and the same could be said for the vocals. If there's one thing that I'm going to take away from this record, is how good the overall clean vocals are. The harsh vocals, I was expecting them to be what they are, to bring in heaviness, to bring in thickness, to add a little bit more substance to the overall experience, but the clean vocals are on point. They feel at times a little bit melancholic, they feel at times a little bit cleaner and brighter, bringing almost a popish vibe. Also learning how to walk the fine lines between those two worlds, merging in perfectly with the heavier side of the vocal range. Absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoyed the cleaner vocals throughout the entire album. I thought they added a lot of quality, a lot of balance, and they definitely brought a different picture into the forefront. All around, this is a very interesting album, a lot better than I was expecting. I must be honest, I always look at Electric Callboy and I look at their singles, at their music videos, and I always felt connected with the songs because of what the video reminded me of. And I was wondering how he was going to be with the songs that I haven't heard before, the songs that weren't singles. Would that connection still be there? This album is actually pretty strong across every single song, regardless if it was a single or not. All of them have memorable moments. And you don't actually need the visuals as much as I thought you would in order to enjoy this record, in order to have fun with it, and in order to see all of those different sides of Electric Callboy. So a very interesting album, a very fun and engaging record all around. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I'm picking my top 3 that were not singles. And these actually perhaps are better than some of the singles because they jumped out at me by being very different from the status quo that I felt the singles offered at a point in time. I want to start off with Mindreader. This is my favorite song on the record. Great electronic, atmospheric intro at the start, but then it loses a little bit of that electronic sound, becomes a little bit more guitar dependent, and that becomes the paradigm of this song. You feel the guitars throughout this track a lot more than perhaps you do on any other song on this record. It has energy, it has explosiveness, it's heavy, both musically and vocally. The chorus is more melodic. The clean vocals really help define that melodic side of the chorus. It allows the chorus to have almost a life of its own, to be very hooky, to be very catchy. It brings almost a haunting experience to the overall track. I love those clean vocals. I love what they do in the chorus and how they set that chorus apart from the rest of the song. The song is dynamic by nature because it has the verses at one level and it has the chorus at a completely different level, musically and vocally, and that creates this constant movement within the track. But this is a magnificent song, very different from all the singles. It has a different vibe, has a different atmosphere, and then it definitely has a different sound experience that, like I said, it's a lot more dependent on the guitars. Next you have Parasite. The electronic opening works really well into setting up what the track is going to be. It still has heaviness to it. It never really loses that. You find it that it's a blended approach. Then you have a chorus that's a little bit more, a little bit of everything, because this track has heaviness, it has electronic elements, and it has pop elements. This is a track that really shows you the 3 sides of Electric Callboy without necessarily picking one to dominate the track. The chorus blends all 3 in it, but you're going to see all 3 throughout the entire song. It has a lot of movement from that perspective. It's a song that really represents the band well in terms of who they are today. All those different sides, all of those different pieces that makes the band are integrated into this song, and they found it a very harmonious way to bring them together and not allow the track to feel completely broken apart or feel like the song is mixed in of 3 lesser parts. It's just a very complete song that has three different pieces that create the movements within, but the movement is synchronized, and that allows the song to stay connected and stay together. Last but not least, Techno Train. The title says it all. Actually, the title of the album says it all as far as the experience of the sound. This is a very techno, dance beat, upbeat style record, and this song is no different. The thing about this track that set it apart for me is that it had a little bit of the Bloodhound Gang vibe. It had a little bit of that in the lyrical content, it had a little bit of that in the sound, and it had a little bit of that in the vocal delivery. It almost feels like a little bit of an homage to that band, a band that trailblazed this sort of electronic rock sound with funny, hilarious lyrics and hilarious videos. So this track to me feels a little bit of a throwback to that band. It has elements of Bloodhound Gang, but it's not a Bloodhound Gang ripoff. It still feels like Electric Callboy through and through. Is that once you start peeling some of the layers, you can see perhaps what inspired this song and what originated this movement. So I absolutely love the song because of that. It has a lot of techno in it. It also has a lot of heaviness in it. It has a lot of party vibes, but it also has a lot of heaviness that not necessarily would be associated with a party atmosphere. The lyrics are phenomenal. The lyrics are hilarious. The lyrics are something that you can definitely connect with and stay connected with and laugh as you're enjoying the music that's coming with it. I absolutely love this song. It's a very good representation of what the band is all about in terms of their personality, and it's a very good representation of what this album has in store for you. This is it, Electric Callboy Tekkno on September 16th on Century Media Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles, on anything that you want to talk about. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.